Live from the Groove Surfer Studios. It is Saturday, December 30th. I'm with Paul. My name is Mike. Introduce yourself, Paul. He's a fan of wine, and we do not have very many wine drinkers on the show. Mostly beer, no coffee on Coffee with Stripes.
Never.
Funny. Tell me a little bit about yourself. You're a musician.
Yep, I'm a musician. I play in a band called Sleeping Lessons. We practice in the Soto area, which you might be familiar with.
In the same building that we're recording this exact podcast at.
Precisely. Just upstairs.
So, a musician, you play?
I play guitar. I play guitar in the band and sing backup vocals.
You've been playing guitar for a long time, or is this kind of a new thing? Or?
Oh yeah. So I've been I'm like to back up here from the very beginning.
Do you mind if I taste what you're drinking on?
Yeah, sponsored by House Wine.
Okay, I taste hints of musician opening up ship.
Hints of poor musician. I think that's what you.
No, not at all. That's. Well, I'm not a wine connoisseur in there, but let's go on.
Yeah.
Let's hear about your tale of a musician.
My brother played guitar when I was a little kid, probably like 7 years old. But I'm left-handed and he was right-handed. So I tried picking up the guitar. I tried picking up his guitar, and I sucked at it because obviously is not the same as the other way around. So I just stuck at it, and I really wanted to be like my brother. So I just kept playing the guitar and started taking lessons and started doing jazz band and taking like classical guitar lessons. And it led me to an indie rock band.
So you took up jazz band and the classical band.
It was like a progression, right? So
you were not intimidated by any kind of music.
No. I mean, if anything, I think you start learning songs or like music or whatever, and then you learn it, and then you get bored of that style, and you kind of move on. And like jazz is cool because it's hard to play on guitar. And you kind of always have to be thinking, right? You like changing chords, you're changing keys, and so it's like.
So what kind of jazz tunes are we talking about?
I was in a Miles Davis quartet band.
Okay.
In college.
So were you like playing the keyboard parts to Blue and Green, where we do like?
No, because he had his own keys player, but we would take like his solos on the trumpet, and we would put it to the guitar, so we would have like guitar solos.
Okay.
In the style of jazz.
And have you did you do that? Did you take some miles, or if you're familiar with the quintessential, the essential Miles Davis kind of blue, it's not just Miles, there's also Coltrane. So you get that chance of, am I doing the trumpet part or the sax part? Am I doing Davis or am I doing Coltrane?
Yeah,
because then you get to put on a different kind of shoes.
Yeah. Well, we did a lot of like Bitches Brew record.
Okay, so that's later. That's almost fusion.
Yeah. It's definitely a little bit more like new age jazz kind of stuff. Not new age, but it's like more progressive Miles. But either way, like we took his stuff and we played solos over it and tried to do it honestly. We tried to reproduce it honestly. But like as a kid, you don't really understand the function of it.
Well, in a little bit, you say we play solos over it. Is no one's like trying to play solos over Davis, but imagine that he wasn't there or Coltrane wasn't there.
Well, so we're playing his parts.
You're playing those 2 bars or something.
Yeah.
That.
We're like
or those,
playing his.
There's 32 bars, as sometimes they would come out to be.
Yeah, whatever they would do. Yeah, we would like actually write out his solos and then try and learn them on the guitar. But with guitar, you have 6 strings. It's
so you're
a polyphonic instrument, right?
You're transcribing.
Yeah, exactly.
On the okay. Did you go to art school?
No,
This is just what you did for fun. or in like high school or something like that?
No, I did a program called Running Start in high school. So I went to basically I was in college for the last 2 years of high school, and so you got to do a bunch of electives, and I did a bunch of music classes. So I did music theory and like composition.
And they encourage you to transcribe the things you heard, or particular pieces, or just
yeah, exactly. Yeah, you would
because
have
I
to
would.
study it.
Did they say transcribe this, or did they say transcribe something you like? And
No. We had like a set. We were like, okay, we're gonna do this, like these songs, these Miles songs, and then we're all gonna practice them, and you're gonna learn how to play the solos.
all right.
So there wasn't like as much. It wasn't like we didn't get a lot of creativity, artistic creativity as you would think.
Had you had much experience with Miles Davis before this curricula?
Yeah, I'm kind of embarrassed to say, but like in third grade, fourth grade maybe, before I knew that it was kind of racially insensitive to do, I dressed up as Miles Davis for like we were doing like I think Black History Month, and we were supposed to pick somebody that we respected, and I was like in fourth grade, and I was just like, fuck, Miles is so tight. And so I like dressed up like him, and I think I did a little bit of blackface, which is not cool now that I'm an adult.
What? So was it one of your parents that really got you into Miles Davis, or like at fourth grade, where would you have actually have learned that bebop jazz? Because you know the difference between like rock steady and bebop, and you know Miles was like. Was it just Miles Davis was cool and
Like
you'd heard it?
How could like a 10-year-old come across Miles Davis, basically?
Yes, that's my question.
Yeah. I don't know. I guess I got lucky. My parents aren't like super musical people, or they don't really get into it. But my brother does. And I think I just kind of took what he showed me, and then I just kind of went off on it, you know. And I think I like accidentally came across some stuff.
And you said you played music with your brother?
Way later on, I played in his band when I was like 18.
Earlier on or later on?
Later on, yeah, when I was like 19.
But he helped you find Miles Davis?
Yeah, he would show me music, you know, because he's 5 years older, so he would know stuff, and he would hear stuff, and he'd be like, Paul, you know, this is cool, like you should check this out. And so I think I heard like one song, and basically every band that I've ever loved came from my brother, like Elliott Smith.
What's his name?
Peter.
Thank you, Peter.
Cheers, Peter.
Cheers. Happy New Year's.
Happy New Year.
So we got that. We're talking about some jazz. I don't want to dwell on that unless that's a big thing. Is there more to what you do than that?
No, I think that was like a time in my life where I really felt like I was I really wanted to take learning guitar seriously, like as an art form, you know. Because when I started, I just really wanted to impress girls. That's like the reason I started playing music.
Did you play any of the trumpet or the clarinet in band?
Yeah, I played the trumpet.
You played the trumpet?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, of course, Miles Davis would be the thing to do.
Well, I was trying to play the drums, but I got kicked out.
Well, if you can learn to play the trumpet really well, then the drums start to get easier. I'm sorry, drummers, but the trumpet, the embouchure, everything.
Oh, yeah.
There's so much going on.
Subtlety.
With guitar, it's sort of like playing a fretless bass. It's like what are my notes, and whoa, what are my micro adjustments on what I'm hearing and what it has to be.
Totally. And even in the trumpet, there's like a in the valves, the way that it goes around the tubing, like you can adjust that there's like a part that you can adjust, and that like changes the tuning. So if you're too far out, you'll go flat. Yeah,
the intonation, the exact same on a guitar, that there's saddles in the bridge of a guitar, and it's like, oh, you put this where it is. It's like, well, you really have to tune it and intonate it is really.
And it's unique to every guitar, right?
It is. Are you a big kind of gearhead?
You know, I can't say that I am.
Me either.
I just I can't.
Me either.
I feel like There's like an analogy that I heard once. It was like, do you ever play Zelda? Like, like the old school, like on like Game Boy or anything like that? Or I mean,
the original on Game Boy. No, the original Zelda. Let's be honest. Let's look right into the camera and say is for NES.
NES.
It was the Legend of Zelda.
Legend is okay. So so you got me. Okay, so like in Zelda, you start with like a wooden
nothing.
You start
have to go into
nothing.
you have to go in the cavern and say you're gonna need this.
Exactly.
Boom, ba-da-da-dum, ba-da-da-dum.
Exactly. So
Sorry,
okay.
nerd.
So to like do this analogy, so when you start out, you have like a wooden sword, right? And you're just like cutting shit, and you like have to like fucking
The
hit
worst
it.
sword in history.
Exactly. And you have to hit it like you have to hit your enemy like 10,000 times before it dies, and then over time you get like a better and better sword, and by the end of it, you're so good with the crappy sword that the really nice sword is like kind of like it like doesn't matter, right? It's kind of like irrelevant. So I feel like guitar is the same thing. It's like, give me the shittiest guitar in the world.
Oh,
and
you're speaking my language, man. Keep going.
You give me the shittiest guitar in the world, and if I'm a good guitar player, I'll be able to play the fuck out of that guitar, right? I don't need a bunch of bells and whistles and like.
Speaking my language.
I don't need 30. I don't need 30 like pedals and like they're nice and they're cool and they're cool tricks. But
Here's the true fact of the matter. I used to play in 3 different bands, and the bands I played the most, I would pick the worst possible guitar to play.
yeah,
Yeah, and then when it was for the other band, I pick up my Les Paul, and it would be nothing. So what I do? So it's like this: when you're the batter up in the World Series, they put that donut on the guitar, right? They put that thing
on the bat.
I guess that's what you call it when you're playing
in
baseball.
Yeah. They might call it the guitar.
So they put the donut on there and they swing that. They make it harder to use.
Yeah.
And that's what I did. I played all year, all day with bad guitars.
Exactly.
And they'd say, okay, here's the best gig you have this year. And then I'd take my guitar, which is really good. And then it'd be like fucking butter.
It's like a breeze. I know it.
Couldn't even have to. Hey, you want to bend after playing all year on bad guitars and go? Wah! All you need to go is. It just barely.
Dude. It's that's like the perfect. I mean, that's the perfect way of putting it. Honestly, you play a bad guitar and then a good guitar is like, whoa,
Plays itself.
plays itself. Honestly.
So what kind of guitar do you play?
I kind of have my little Rolodex of like 3 right now. I have a Fender Tele. I have a Fender Starcaster and then a Gibson SG.
So why do you have so many guitars? Can I take it?
Oh yeah.
Can I take it? So we don't recommend anything, but we do recommend this wine on account of Paul.
Oh yeah. Drink it long and deep, my friend. Why did I have so many guitars?
Yes.
Well, you kind of, I don't know, you kind of, you got to get a feeling of what you like. Like I've realized that like Fender necks are not necessarily my thing. Like the C-shaped neck, or maybe they have the D-shaped neck. It's like a little bit more spaced out. It's like a little bit wider. It's got like the.
It's a Fender shape.
It has like curve.
It's a Fender shape.
Yeah,
It's changed over the years, but it's kind of Fendery.
Yeah, but you can tell the difference between a Gibson neck and a Fender neck.
Yeah.
And so I've just kind of found that like Gibson necks are kind of more my tune.
So okay. I do not disagree with you whatsoever. I completely agree with Paul that Fenders are. He didn't say anything about them. I'm not saying that Fenders are bad and Gibsons are good, but I just have a feel for Gibsons.
Yeah.
And,
I agree.
And yours is what, an SG?
SG, yeah.
Okay. What color is it?
It's like that, like dark red, the
You
cherry
got
red.
the red,
Classic red.
the Angus Young, the
Yeah.
classic. There are. So, do you know about the 1957 Les Paul?
That was the. Is that the first year they came out with the Les Paul?
The first year.
The only reason I know that is because I was at the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame 2 days ago. So I was reading about Les Paul.
And the 57 Les Paul is in SG.
Is it an SG?
Yes. Les Paul looked at what they made in 1957 and said, I don't like that. And then in the 58 changed to the actual Les Paul.
Okay.
So the SG stands for standard guitar, which they made for Les Paul, but he rejected
didn't
after
like
the
it.
first year.
Well, because Les Paul was trying to he was
So
coming
when-
up with his own style of guitar for years and years, and he went to Gibson, the company, for many years before he was sponsored by them, and he was like, hey, I have this guitar, I really want you to produce it. And they were like, nope. And then the year that he got signed to them, he said to somebody, he was like, I'm gonna do one more offer to Gibson, and if they don't take it, I'm going over to Fender. Can you imagine that? Can you imagine if the Les Paul was a Fender Les Paul? That's crazy.
Ooh, that'd be good. The Leo Fender Les Paul, the LFLP. Yeah, the acronym is not even just really working.
It doesn't
quite
work as well.
right.
It doesn't. No.
So the original Les Paul, 1957, is an SG.
Really?
That's what Gibson made. Les Paul looked at it and said, don't like it. So 58 from then on was his own model. That
Right.
thing right there.
Right.
And but the exact same electronics, the exact same everything. He just did the
Well, he wanted a really high output. He really wanted it to be trebly. That was kind of like his thing. So he had his own vision for what he wanted that guitar to look like and sound like.
the sound like I think he got. But so what happened is they made the SG 57. I think I've already said this, so I'm repeating myself on the podcast. Not trying to make sure that I'm repeat myself too much, but just not trying to lose everyone. They made the 1957 Les Paul, and it was the SG, and Les Paul himself didn't like it. So the 1958 looks like the Les Paul we all know and love. Mm-hmm. So Fender or Stratocaster, do you actually have a preference, or do you just like to play whatever?
Well, I have a Telecaster now. I first started with that kind of cream white. I think it was it was called cream white, but it was a cream white Stratocaster. And what I just don't like those guitars because the volume and the tone knobs are right there. So whenever you're strumming, they're super close to the strings.
It's a matter of strumming down, hitting the strings, and you'd want to avoid the
that's
knobs.
Not how I play, because a lot of times I'll have my wrist sitting right on the bridge, and or I'll be strumming kind of downward or something, and I always felt like I was hitting the volume knob. It was getting in the way, so I was like, this isn't my guitar.
What is your guitar then? Gibson's, the Les Pauls, you feel completely at home with them?
Yeah, I have that Gibson SG that I have. I got some. So a buddy of mine worked at Lawler. The pickups.
Not familiar. Lawler.
Lawler, yeah.
LAWL.
LOLLER. They were, I think, originally on Bainbridge, but they moved down to Tacoma.
Okay.
But he made some custom ones for himself, and he installed them into my SG, and they're like boutique. Do you know? Forgetting the name, but it's she played in the Shins. Deep Sea Diver. Do you know that band?
Local band? I'm pretty unfamiliar with local bands. I'm sorry that I'm just.
No, that's okay. But if you like Deep Sea Diver, that's exactly what she put into her guitars. Is these Lawler pickups. They're like boutique pickups.
Okay.
Yeah. So I play through an orange like a 1972 orange head, AC30 or AD30. And it's just really dirty because it's, like an English all tube, all hand wired head into like this, 4x10 cabin. It just gets dirty, especially with these pickups. So I've been kind of shopping around, thinking about what I'm going to do.
Shopping around, but it sounds like you have a great rig.
Yeah, I do. I think you always kind of look at what you want out of it, and I'd like something cleaner, and you're just not going to get that out of a British style amp, and that's what I have is an orange, and it's not what I want right now.
Do you have any gigs coming up?
Yeah, we're playing with Smoky Brights. It's going to be their album release.
Look, there's the camera right there. Tell everyone where you're playing at.
Smoky Brights and Sleeping Lessons and Tellers are playing at the Tractor Tavern.
Tractor Tavern, what day?
I don't remember exactly. I think it's the 20th.
It's the 20th.
January 20th, yeah.
Okay.
But we're just working on a record. So we kind of we toured 3 times this year.
So I got a question for you, Paul.
Yes, sir.
Are you kind of a conspiracy theorist in any way?
Oh, totally.
You are?
Oh, big time, man.
Okay, what's going on, man? Tell me, baby.
About what? Conspiracy theory in what way?
Well,
I don't want to be on a watch list, man.
We're just on a playlist. It's Coffee with Stripes. But what your conspiracy theory? Do you think people are listening to everything we do?
Well, I think that's a fact that they're listening to. I think they're not listening to person by person, but they're definitely accumulating everybody's information and then collecting it. And
do you think it's a good idea to do it, or should you kind of mess with them for a little bit?
I mean, that's a real deep question. Our society and privacy, it's a very fine line to determine how to keep a society safe and also not infringe on their privacy. And in this day and age where now we have the internet, your privacy is less than it ever has before. Everything that you do is recorded. Everything you say is recorded. There's no way of getting out of it. And does that make us safer? Does it accomplish what we think it does? I don't necessarily know. I read a lot of I read 1984. I read Fahrenheit 451. I know the dystopian novels. That shit scares me, man.
I kind of see in what you're saying that there's good and there's bad from it. Like I can gain a bunch from it, from what you're saying.
Yeah.
But there's a reason to be slightly cautious of it. And there's here's an example. Let's say I want to get from here to there. I want to get from Seattle to Everett at 8 o'clock in the morning. And if there's an accident on the freeway that blocks everything, it would be nice if there's a way for me to avoid all of
That's
that.
Right. That's right.
Wouldn't it be? So, but no one can create that information without opting in to creating that information.
You know the app Waze?
Oh yeah, that's exactly what I'm talking about. So what if you say I'm going to take all the information from Waze, but I'm not going to chime into it?
I mean, that's like I said, there's a real deep conversation, but that is the way that your rights are slowly taken away from you. They're taken away from you because it's convenient to give them away, right? So Facebook, when you sign up to Facebook, you are essentially giving away your rights to retain anything that you put on there.
Look right at the camera and wave.
All of that stuff is theirs at that point, and they're allowed to do whatever they want with it. And people are willing to give that to them because they offer a service for free. Right? They connect you with people you haven't seen. You can
It's pretty incredible.
You can check out pretty girls on Facebook and
Facebook and
Facebook stock, isn't that what it's called?
And it's pretty incredible that you can upload 2 hours of video every day and no one says no. It's like, how many fucking hard drives do they have sitting there to fucking deal with this fucking weird ass shit that anyone can upload?
Exactly. Yeah, and it just keeps on going. But so, like, in terms of privacy, like, you have a culture of like convenience, and you have people who are willing to give that shit away because it's easier. It makes their lives easier. And the argument that most people say is like, well, I have nothing to hide, right? So I don't care if people check on me. I don't care if my information is given away because I have nothing to hide. But on the flip side, it's like, when does that line end, right? Like, who gets to decide what gets to be released or not?
We're talking about who has nothing to hide, right? And as long as you're on the right side of the authority saying, I have nothing to hide, then you do have nothing to hide. But as soon as the authority flips the other way, then if questioning them might be something you had to hide, which wasn't before, and therefore you have something to hide, it's just like it flips from 1 to 0. I didn't have to hide this. Oh, but now I do.
Now I do.
How do you feel about the whole political landscape?
Oh man, I feel like politics is like a real. Do you have another one? Can I have one of those?
Cigarette?
Yeah.
Cigarette. Oh, here we go.
Thank you, sir.
So we're about to talk politics. So we went from art. Do we have anything else to say about art?
Art is important, man. Art changes the world.
Art changes the world. That is indeed a true fact. And also, language changes art. Art changes language. And things get lit up. So here we go.
Okay, politics, yeah.
And that's not a pun. Just because his name is Paul, it doesn't mean politics is just, he doesn't have a monopoly on the segment. That's not true. Politics, though. Let's get into it.
Okay. So I personally believe that politics as we know it today, like U.S. politics, are a form of entertainment. And I think that it's kind of like a reality show. I think that the substance and the real, true political nature of what we stood for is kind of long gone.
Have we stood for what did we stand for in that case?
I don't necessarily mean like we as the U.S. I think just more like kind of.
But if you're saying what we stood for is gone, what did we stand for?
So yeah, yes, this is what I'm saying. So like, the idea of a democracy or a republic is the idea that we, as citizens, are represented by these people, representatives, right? You have your senators and you have your congressmen and your presidents or whatever.
We live in a republic.
We live in a republic, and that they listen to us and then vote in our interests. But the fact of the matter that's not how it works, right? So we have money that comes into play, and all of a sudden you have these big corporations that can influence how we write our laws, what kind of laws we write, in order to increase their own revenue. And when it comes down to it, it's like we don't really have as much of a say. Like our democracy is not exactly what we thought it was, and it's difficult because a lot of people don't really see that. They think that we still live in this world where like we're the land of the. Did you leave? Are you gone? We'll just take a quick wine break. How's everyone doing? Do you want to hear my John Lennon impression? Okay. Yeah, I played in the Beatles, you know. There's yeah, we had a couple of good albums, but oh, that's not good. Yeah, I played in the Beatles, and it was good. It was good back then, but it wasn't very good now. I think he's gone. I think he's gone. No, I don't know which one this is. I don't know if this is John. John, maybe Paul talks like this. I don't know. I don't know. Which one is it? Yeah, you know, we live in a free world and we like to be free. Yeah. I'm John Lennon. Hello. John. 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 Hello. Ever tell you that story of Rocky Raccoon? He disappeared on me, Mike.
So, in summary, what is your theory of everything?
My theory of everything.
Yep.
42, man. Do you want a real answer? I'll give you a real answer here.
All right.
Okay.
We're not into fake answers around here.
I think that human beings are instinctively good. And I think that we are tempted to do bad because we are hurt. And when we're hurt, we react in fear. And that fear leads to violence and anger and conflict. And I see the human race on an upward spiral towards peace and uniformity and
An upward spiral.
upward trajectory.
I feel almost the exact same way that every day, even though you could look at so many bad things that happen, that over the week the world actually becomes a better place.
Well, yeah, like despite what they might say in the news, which is a total bullshit scheme, the world is getting safer and safer every day. And
a better and better place to live.
We have a better quality of life than people did 100 years ago. Objectively, that's a fact. I think that Karl Marx in the Communist Manifesto said that the world exists in a way that it's the thesis, antithesis, and synthesis, right? So you have something, there's a reaction to it, and then there's like a way to solve it. And I think
sounds very Kantian to me that he would propose a thesis and an antithesis, but you said there was three of them.
Well, Karl Marx was trying to promote communism, so that's why he was saying that communism was the synthesis of democracy.
Synthesis was the third one.
It's the final solving.
There's
right?
a thesis, the antithesis, and the synthesis.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I think that what happens is you see these from the beginning of human civilization, right? You have the old you have the Nile, all Mesopotamians, whatever. They rise and then they fall, and then civilization becomes a little bit better, and then you have whatever comes after that. You have Old Britain or whatever, and then it gets kind of bad, and then it gets even better, and then you have the rise. The British Empire rises and then falls, and then you have the American Empire that rises and falls, and as those things happen, it feels like we're kind of regressing, but really truly we're kind of going in this upward spiral, right? Where it feels like we're going backwards, but really truly we're going up.
So
makes sense.
What do you think the best that humans have to offer? Do you think that's something that we're going to do, or is that something we just have to try and do?
Well, man, one of my favorite shows is Star Trek. I don't know if you ever watched it.
An original series or Next Generation?
TNG, all the way.
Picard.
So, that's my favorite show, and I watch all the movies over and over again. And I think my girlfriend doesn't really understand quite why I love it, but the reason that I love it is because it inspires me, and it makes me remember that human beings can potentially be a uniform peaceful race where we do away with poverty and financial differences, and like all of those concepts are things that separate us. And
Sure.
in the future, we can be just one, and we
Sure.
can all be equal, and we can all be happy.
Having an android and a Klingon on the bridge of the Starship Enterprise, that's a big deal. Yeah, go ahead. Me too, please. Thank you very much. Now,
That was a
do you think that I don't think that Gene Roddenberry or the everyone behind wanted us to get ready for a world of aliens and androids and to control all that. I don't think that was their goal. They're just kind of sci-fi, and they're just kind of interested, and they wanted. So I don't think their goal was to get us prepared for a Klingon to be the president of the world. If you don't remember that, what was that? The Generations, the beginning of Generations. If you remember the Star Trek movies.
Oh yeah, I remember
Generations. So I don't think it was the idea to desensitize us to everything. They're just trying to be entertaining, and they've been so good. Star Trek, Gene Roddenberry from start to finish and beyond, great stuff.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the TNG talks about equality, man. Everybody can be equal, right? You have men, women, different races, different species, all acting as equals and peacefully and searching, exploring the universe to pass on, to be helpful, to be explorers, and to learn more, and to do what we innately want to do, which is explore and learn more without having to conquer and be evil.
Are you saying that, like me, you kind of identified with Commander Data?
I love Data.
He kind of did a bunch of cool.
In Nemesis when he died in the last one.
In
Spoiler
any
alert.
episode, if nothing can be solved, he was sort of the Deus Ex Machina that would bring it all down, right? He would do it.
And ultimately, like, he wasn't. Everybody didn't trust him, right? Because he wasn't human. He wasn't a real being. And in so many of those episodes, he ends up saving everybody on the ship.
Every time.
He saves them, right? And
every time.
And the irony is that he's always looking for. He's so curious about what it means to be a human and what it means to have emotion. But in a way, he's the most human of us all.
So
he's what we should be.
In a way, we can be stoic in a way. We don't need to be stoic all the way.
No. I mean, not emotionless, but like his yearning.
He's stoic. That he represent. He's the Spock. He's the Spock of the new generation. Yeah. He's the stoic.
But
one.
like his innocence, his questioning, his need to kind of like understand and take care and trust and like want to and help. That's like what he always wanted to do, right?
Well, yes. But he also wanted to be his own self. So as Spock was put around as he's half human, they tried to like see how human he could be, and they did the same thing with Data, right? It's like he aspired to be human, and in Generations, the movie, he did get that emotion chip, and that's when
in his twin, right? Have you seen the new episodes on CBS?
I have not seen any on
Star
CBS.
Trek, Star Trek.
What?
I think it's called Star Trek Discovery.
On CBS?
Yeah.
I thought there was a movie. I haven't seen any of the new movies.
Oh, well, I mean, those are supposed to be like...
Have you seen any of the new movies?
Yeah. I like them.
Okay, tell me about them.
Well, I mean, they're like...
You can't be a spoiler at this point. Just tell me about them.
Well, I mean, those movies are action films. And like they're cool, they're sci-fi films, but they don't like capture the same thing that like The Next Generation was like philosophy. Like it literally, I went to college for philosophy. I graduated with a philosophy degree, and so I think I really bonded with that show because it made me it made me see that there was like a TV show that could really like make me question myself, and it had like all these layers to it, which a lot of shows don't.
Well, the layers. I hope you don't mind me just jumping in here, but if you liked philosophy and you liked Star Trek: The Next Generation, the difference between like Picard and Riker and Data would almost be Socrates and Plato and Aristotle, and they'd almost have to like have this battle out in the midst of it all.
That's very interesting. Yeah, that's. I've never thought about that. I never like that. Never crossed my mind. But I should watch the whole show, keeping that in mind.
No, we probably shouldn't. Let's just talk about Socrates.
You said Socrates, Plato.
Plato, and then Aristotle.
And Aristotle. Well, yeah, Aristotle was. I mean, if anybody would represent Aristotle, it'd be Data. But
I agree with that completely. That was a great assessment. And then Riker would be the old Plato, and then
yeah,
and then.
But I mean,
Picard would be Socrates.
Well,
he wouldn't have to say it; he'd just have to do it, and everyone would talk about it.
Right. Well, I mean, the only thing is like what Plato wrote. Everything that Socrates said, right? He was Plato's teacher.
Socrates never wrote anything.
He never wrote anything, right? It was all Plato.
Everything we know from Socrates, it's from Plato's voice.
And so people would say that, Socrates wasn't even a real person. It was just Plato with a character.
Could be true.
It could be possible, right?
But there's also testimony from other Greeks that, especially the
death when they killed him.
When
they killed Socrates.
How did Socrates die? He drank the hemlock.
And he happily took it too.
The state. He had a choice. He could run.
Yeah, well, they tried to. He
could
broke
run
in and they tried to take him. They tried to sneak him out, and Socrates said that if I'm guilty according to this, if I'm guilty according to them, then I'm guilty, and there's nothing to run away from.
Paul knows his shit. That's exactly true. And on that note, we're gonna say I'm not a whole lot sure what more we can say about Greek philosophy. Do you want to throw anything? You got a gig coming up?
Is there anything else you want to ask me? Now I'm having fun, man.
You're having fun?
No,
You got a gig coming up. We've been talking about guitar amps. We've been talking about philosophy.
Guitar amps, yeah.
Let's pump some gigs. Let's do show business.
Show business, yeah. Like I said, that Smoky Bright show that's coming up in a couple weeks. That's pretty much it. And then we might be headlining Numos.
That's sleeping
lessons. Yeah.
Sleeping lessons at say where you're playing and what time you're playing.
At the Tractor Tavern.
Tractor Tavern. Jeez, that's one of the good ones. All right. We've been very thankful to have Paul here tonight.
Mike, thank you for having me.
You're very welcome. We might even talk some more philosophy after all this is over, but we're going to call it quits. Thanks.